Hi, everybody. So I wear two hats. I am the product manager for BigBlueButton. I'm the one responsible for each of the releases. I've been working on it for over 10 years with a team of developers all around the world. And I'm also the CEO of Blindside Networks. So this company right here is what is providing sponsorship to the conference. And we also provide hosting directors for campus conferences, which is built on BigBlueButton. And we've been working with Instructure for many years. So I'm going to kind of channel Amy and Erica, who were not able to make this presentation, but I'm going to do three things. I'm going to talk about how they were using breakout rooms. I'm going to go a little bit into breakout rooms with some slides and some visuals, and answer the questions along the way. And then I'm going to talk about the roadmap and the product, and just make sure that we're doing the things that help you engage your students. So we had Amy and Eric and I had put this presentation together in the beginning. They're not able to attend, but they've been using BigBlueButton for breakout rooms for quite a few months. And again, myself, one of the product manager. So for them, they were using it in the Rutgers School of Social Work intensive weekend program. So on the weekends, we would see them come in with their groups. They would have them gather together like we're doing here. And then they would put them into breakout rooms where they could collaborate 10, 15 minutes and bring back everybody together. And I'll show you some visuals in a moment of how that works. Let me do a quick poll. So I'm going to answer just yes or no. Who has used BigBlueButton before? Okay, so I can see all the poll results coming back live. And at some point here, I'm going to just publish it. Okay, so of the people that responded, 12 said yes, 8 said no. Okay, so now I'm going to do another poll. Of the people that responded yes, how many of those have used breakout rooms? So I'm going to start a new yes/no poll. So if you've used BigBlueButton, then just say yes or no if you've used breakout rooms. Okay, so only a few people have used breakout rooms. And we got to change this because it's one of the most powerful ways to engage students. And it's meant to make it easier for you to put them into rooms, bring them back, and so on. So what I am going to do is, I think I will just do this after the user list settles down a bit and everyone's in the session. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms and I'm going to bring you back. So you'll actually see it live, what it looks like. Just following on Amy and Erica's slides. So when they were doing their weekend online polls, they did want to get engaged with students. They did want them to be interactive, and it provided them a way to basically interact with each other in the breakout rooms. And if you think of Bloom's hierarchy of needs, like you retain information, you apply it, you create new information, you analyze it, you evaluate. So breakout rooms is one of the best ways to get the students to actually take the content, try to do something with it new. And you learn when you collaborate and make mistakes and struggle a bit. And that's what happens in breakout rooms. You can give them a task, they can go work on it, they come back, it's all still within the lecture. And they can transfer the learning to others as well. Okay, so in terms of the breakout rooms, which we'll try in a few minutes, the students are actually there as moderators. They don't have all capability, like they can't kick each other out, but anybody can make themselves presenter, they can talk, they can share webcams, they can collaborate. And anyone, when they make themselves presenter, can upload a PowerPoint, share their screen, whatever. So let me do some visuals of how breakout rooms work, and then I'm going to actually put everybody into a breakout room. Okay. So let me just switch over. Okay. So I, as a presenter, actually, to the conference moderator, can you make me a moderator? It's only the moderator capabilities that have the breakout rooms. And there we go. Perfect. Thanks. So I see this gear icon next to the users list. And the users list is where everybody sees us at the top. If I go back one slide, A moderator will see this gear icon. So when you go into your courses with Canvas conferences, you are a moderator. You're usually the first presenter by default, and you see this gear icon. This gear icon gives you a couple capabilities that the students don't have. One of them is to create breakout rooms. And when you do that, the dialog comes up and it allows you to choose a number of breakout rooms. You can allow students to choose which breakout room they go into, and then you can drag and drop students into the various breakout rooms. You can set the duration as well. Um, if you allow students to join, they get to select which breakout room they go into. Okay. Once you're in the breakout room, you actually open up in a new tab. So you're still in the main room where you can chat with the instructor, but the breakout room is a new tab. Everyone who shows up will be a moderator, and you'll see a time limit at the top. This gives you a sense of like, did the moderator set it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and so on. And while you're here, you can share your audio, share your webcam, and so on. Okay. If you go back to the main room, you still can join the breakout room. So if you had inadvertently left and you go back to the main room, every viewer, every student has this new tab, breakout rooms, while it's active, and they can click to join the room. So you can go back to it. Okay. Once the breakout rooms are started, any student that joins late will get an invitation, and then you can drag them over and you can give them a late invitation. So just put them into a breakout room if they actually joined after it started. Okay. As a moderator, you actually have a lot of control. You will see everyone's name appear in the breakout room underneath, and then you will also have the ability to join the room, which will fully open it up into a new tab, or just join the audio. This is akin to like tables in the room where you're just walking around, you're kind of listening to what people are saying. And at any point, you can end all the breakout rooms as well. You could, if you want, actually join each breakout room and just kind of open them up in tabs and flip back and forth between them. But I find it's easier if you just ask students to come back to the main room. And when the great breakout room is done, just type into the chat, "We're done," which will bring you right back in. Okay, so thanks. Um, as a product manager, I need to get this feature in where if I'm muted, it shows me a big bold saying in the front says, "Hey, you're muted." Um, that was an overview of the breakout rooms, which is one of the key pieces for collaboration. Now, obviously, if you're going to do this in one of your sessions, I would recommend you practice it ahead of time. Get a friend or even just open it up in a separate browser. So there's two people in a session, try the breakout rooms, try going through this process, get a sense of what happens like you have as as a user, as a student. You go into the breakout rooms, you're there, collaborate, and come back. Um, just looking through the chat to see if there's any questions so far. We'll wait a moment for the others to come back in. What I wanted to do was, I we have plans for the breakout rooms for the fall. There's more that we want to do with them. One of them is have the students create content in the breakout rooms and have that content come back into the main room. This is tied to another feature where if I do annotations on the whiteboard, can I get those annotations and download them as a slide? So when you do breakout rooms, whatever the current slide is the slide that appears in the breakout rooms. So if you bring up a slide with some things for students to discuss, that's the main slide that they'll see in the breakout rooms. Let's see. And if you, so the two things we want to do in breakout rooms is have the breakout rooms, content in the breakout rooms come back in the main room, and also give the instructor the ability to choose a different slide for each breakout room. So if you upload a slide deck that has like 4 pages in it, and you have 4 breakout rooms, we want to be able to give you the ability to say, okay, the default presentation or default slide for each breakout room is going to be slide 1 in breakout room 1, slide 2 in breakout room 2, and so on. So just to increase the engagement for the students. Okay. And all right. The next thing is like, so I'm sort of talking about a little bit of the roadmap stuff now. The whole point of Big Blue Button is engagement, to enable you to engage your students and have them come back as well. Sylvana, yes, in terms of like audio, you do need to engage the audio. one of the things we want to do is see if we can reduce that need where if you have a microphone in the main room, that when you go to a breakout room, we just switch the audio channel so it goes into the breakout room. You don't have to log in again. Right now we do it because you're actually going into a completely different session and we don't want you logged in twice. So it's no good to have audio in two channels. So we drop from the main room, you log in again, 5-10 seconds. We're in the breakout room, 5-10-15 minutes, come back in the main room and re-log in. Yes, John, a guest speaker can take part of the session as well. So I have the ability to invite a guest into the session, and they're a user. They'll come with the word guest in front of them, but they come in as a viewer. And when you create the breakout rooms, if you have a guest here, they'll have the word guest in front of them. They can be dragged into a room as well. So they're just another viewer. They just came in through a different way. Okay. All right. Let me talk about a little bit about the roadmap because I think it's the version we've had right now is what we've had for the last couple of months. COVID-19 was interesting for us. It pushed out our development a little bit because we focused so much on the current release, just because of the overwhelming demand on it. But let me tell you a little bit about what's coming in the product. Okay. So the next version we have coming, called 2.3, is really just making things easier for the instructor and taking away some of the steps that they might otherwise have to do. So I'm going to jump to the slide here. So for the release coming up, and actually, Wanda, yes, you can do breakout rooms on a mobile device. There is a little bit of funkiness that goes on with Safari. Once you leave the audio in Safari to the breakout room, you're okay. But when you come back, Safari does not play the audio for you. And we think we know a way around this. For the moment, you'd have to refresh, or you'd have to quit out Safari and come back in. It's just the way Safari works on the desktop and laptop. Laptop experiences should be much better. Okay. Or desktop. So in terms of the next version, reduce the mouse clicks, especially for uploading slides, faster response times, give more feedback if there's a network issue, and get the scalability up to about 150 users. So in terms of like placement of webcams, we've had some requirements where we'd like to be able to place webcams like to the side. So especially if you go portrait, figure out if there's a best way to get the maximum presentation. Would it be put the webcams to the side or the webcams at the top? So you could start to do things like this in the next version. When you upload slides here, like so you upload a bunch of slides or you choose a bunch of slides to upload, BigBlueButton will convert them right there. And you have to kind of wait until they're converted. The next version, which should be in the fall, you will actually be able to immediately go back into BigBlueButton and the slides will convert here in a pop-up window. So they'll be converting the background. You can immediately go back and engage with students. Again, just make it easier for the instructor to upload and engage. Priscilla, good thing for the question is a link to sections in Canvas. So there are the concept of groups in Canvas. One of the things we'd like to do is with Canvas is to have it pass when users join what group they're involved with in Canvas. And then when it comes time to create the breakout rooms, auto group them associated according to their group in Canvas. So you don't have to drag and drop or figure out which groups people are. We could preset that as a default. Yeah, so we won't be able to create the breakout rooms in advance, but we can use some hints from Canvas to work. Basically assign the breakout rooms. Okay. To make it easier to switch back and forth to slides, we'll just put the list of slides here. So it'll be above the presentation icon. And so if you have 3 or 4 presentations, it'll be super quick to go back and forth between them. We want to put some information feedback to the user that if they're on a low bandwidth connection, that they may experience problems like any piece of software. So we are adding connectivity where if we notice the bandwidth is kind of low, we just give this message up here. It says, hey, we are noticing you may be experiencing connectivity issues. Everything still might be fine in BigBlueButton, but if they start seeing webcams drop or maybe the audio goes a bit choppy, they can at least correlate this with, hey, I was just told that my network is low and now I'm seeing something different. It's not the product, it's probably my network. It's easier for them to take action, go into a hotspot, move closer to the network, and so on. When you upload slides, we actually check the slides to see if there's like an A, B, C, D in it. The poll button used to be down here. We're going to actually move it up in the presentation area and tell you if you click it, you'll be able to immediately start a poll with A, B, C, or D. Just make it faster. Sometimes when people are sharing the screens, you're not going to see the poll results because it's currently overlaid in the presentation area. So we want the poll results to also appear in the chat. That way you can see them regardless of what the presentation area is doing. This one is an often requested feature. Can I get a notification when a user raises his hand or her hand? So this notifications tab is going to kind of group together the notifications and then allow you to quickly choose, yes, I want an audio alert or a pop-up alert or both for any of these actions. And we'll probably add to it over time. We may even set this like as default so that you will see a pop-up alert when the user raises their hand, which I think is what everybody wants. We want to scale to 150 users. Basically, this diagram shows that if you got 1,000 chat messages, we only want to render the ones that are visible, not every other one, which is kind of what's happening now, and that's fine for smaller meetings, but we would like to get to like 150 users. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 features that I'm not sure we're going to get to it by the end of the summer, but will be in the fall. And these are, again, once we get to the newer version, it'll be faster for us to implement these. So the first one is per user whiteboard. I've heard this one a lot. I've got a group of students. I need to give just one of them access to the whiteboard. So can I click on their name and just allow them to have access to the whiteboard? And if I do that, the whiteboard will have like a count at the top, which will tell me which ones are going to basically be visible. So there's 2 people who have access to the whiteboard, and then when I click it, it will clear it. Typed responses. So this is going to be a rework of how the polling works to make it more unified and add more capabilities to it. So you'll be able to write a question in for the poll, and you'll be able to choose whether you want like true or false, or A, B, C, or D, or user response. So if I just choose true or false, it'll give you 2 entries, and the default text will be true, false. You can add more if you want. If I choose A, B, C, and D, you'll get 4, and you can edit them as well, or add more, or remove them. So this is like a generic add a poll item, add a poll response, and so on. And here you could change it to name responses if you want. And then you could actually choose just complete responses. Christine's asking, can we create polls before the meeting starts? We're going to try to figure out the best way to do that because ideally we could give you some way to create a bunch of polls, and then when you upload or when you upload your presentation, those polls are there. Now with smart slides, if you have a slide presentation that said A, water, B, fire, or A, ice, water, fire, rock, we would just tell you, hey, you could choose A, B, or C, or D. So we're going to try to see if we can do an even better job reading the text out of the slide and then pre-populating what these choices would be. And you can actually have them do user response as well. So this is an example where you're asking the question, what are the rings of Saturn made out of? You don't have to type in the choices. And the students will be able to do a response back. And then dual responses you'll see as if you were doing poll choices. So here they type in ice, 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 rock, 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 and you can see what the results are. Obviously, they can type in icicles or ice cubes or whatever, so there might be some variation. But again, it's getting them engaged, and we'll probably merge them together where it's like ice lowercase and ice uppercase are just going to be the same things. Randomly choose a user. This is what actually we get asked a lot in K-12, the instructor wants to engage the students. The students all know the instructor has the people they usually go to. But if you could randomly select a user or ask BigBlueButton to do it, imagine a carousel comes up, a couple names go by, like tick, 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 and then one of those students are selected. So everyone is on edge because they don't know who's going to be selected. I wanted to get this feature in for a long time, but we're going to get it this fall for sure. Another one is the countdown timer. So we get asked to just put a countdown timer in the session and then be able to put it in there and sort of like set it for 25 minutes or so on. All right, so those are the features that we are working on to get into BigBlueButton. Just non-blocking upload of slides, make it easier to do polling, make it easier to engage the students with multi-user whiteboard by just selecting an individual user and randomly choose a user in the session. Okay. At this point, I think I'm going to just pause and just answer questions that people have. I've probably given enough information in terms of the product and where we're at. I'd be very interested to hear any other questions you have in terms of the features, the functionality, or things that you're trying to do in the product. I see a few people typing here, which is great. I see multiple users are typing, which is great. Yeah, Christine, the polls, I think if you just create slides with poll-like questions in them, when you go into it, we'll give you like a one-click poll button just to make it easy to engage the students. Okay. Sorry, Peter, for the issues with the sound. Not sure there. Usually we just recommend Firefox or Chrome and try switching between them. Sound should have come back. What's the maximum amount of users that can be set up with breakout rooms, and how many breakout rooms can be created? It's actually another good question because we have 8 breakout rooms right now. And those breakout rooms are basically set up because of the way the UI works. So I didn't try to show it here, but if you choose 8, you're going to actually get a 9x9 grid, which fits in the page, which allows you to drag and drop between. We've had people ask us for more than 9 breakout rooms, especially if you want to put like 20 students each in their own room. So I think in that case, if we go above 9, there won't be a drag and drop. It'll just be randomly assigned. And if you equal the number of users, they'll just be like all in their own room. Okay. Wow. Okay. Questions are coming in. Okay. So Cody, your question was around sharing audio, video, and then a PowerPoint. So when you upload slides to BigBlueButton, they get converted into PDF, and then they convert it in actually scalable vector graphics. So any audio and video in them don't come through. You can use screen sharing to share audio or video. It works right now on Mac, OS X plus Chrome. When you share your screen, if you place something on the screen, it'll actually come through in the audio. We know how to do this on Windows. We have to add a bit more UI to allow you to choose the audio source for your computer as the microphone, not your microphone. There's a bit of trickiness there, but it is possible to do. The other thing we've been asked is if people can upload an audio or video clip, can they share it? Not yet. There's work to be done for that as well. You can share YouTube videos, which is something that we added a while back. YouTube or Canvas. I'm not sure if Rutgers has Studio. If you have recordings in Studio, you can share them as well. Christine, the 2.3 is under work right now. We hope to get like a public release out this summer. And so we'll be communicating with the folks at Rutgers. We'll have a server up that people can try out. And the idea is that a lot of the UI, the main UI isn't going to change. There's just going to be some extra capabilities in it. So Joanna, the download pre-recorded lectures, if you record your lecture in BigBlueButton, you can. And it just has to be that when you record it, you have invited everybody in the course to view it. Otherwise, they would not be able to see it later on. There's actually an access control list inside of Canvas for every conference. And it's built there to allow the moderator or the teacher to say, hey, I just want to have a conference with this one person. We're trying to get to a point where you could actually change the visibility of a conference. So you could record one with only yourself. And later on, you go back in Canvas, and you say, make this available to everybody. So there's a couple of things I want to be able to do with Instructure on that, and that's one of them. Silvana, the audio, yes. The browser is switching back and forth. Sometimes the audio will drop. What we usually just say is refresh. You'll come right back in 5 seconds. You don't have to log out and log back in again. You just come back in, rejoin the audio, and it should work. The other thing is just make sure you use Firefox or Chrome. Robert, grab any URL for the session before it starts so you can share it as an announcement. Right now, you can, as a moderator, get a URL to join the session when the session starts. So if you just do that after the session starts, like you go into it, you as a moderator can grab that URL and you can share it with anyone you want. It comes in as a guest link. That guest link is only valid for that current session, though. There's some security and some security around it where once that session's over, that join link won't work again. I kind of know what you're getting to. Like, is there a permanent join URL for the sessions? That's another great thing that if we could get into Instructure, that would be awesome. You create a conference, can you give me the permanent URL that I can send to anybody? Peter, for the breakout rooms, I guess I've seen breakout rooms used in K-12, but mostly at the higher ed because the students are more mature and they're able to collaborate. And you can join the breakout rooms and they know how to come back and type in the chat in the main room, let you know when they're done. You should be pretty fine in the main room. Priscilla, interesting. We could actually do it alphabetically. That's not hard. Um, it's the reason it's doing it is it's hooked into the same data structure as the users list. So, and those are showing as the order they came. But let me see if I can do something there and change that sort order in the breakout room. Okay, so no studio, no worries. Wanda, system demo between PowerPoint slides should be fine. You can just switch back and forth by going back to the upload slides dialog and then just choose the checkbox to see which slide you want to have uploaded. See if I can get a screenshot of this here for you. Let's see. So yeah, when you have multiple slides uploaded, whichever the one has the checkbox is when you click upload, it will become the default presentation. Cool, Priscilla. Okay, we have another 9 minutes, so you have me for whatever questions you have about BigBlueButton. Rutgers has been using it quite a bit. And look, honestly, a lot of the work that we've been doing in the past is just hardening it, making it easier, making it more reliable. There's been some work on audio, and I think we can do some more there. But we really want to just see all the courses you get in, you engage with the students, the recordings available afterwards inside of Canvas. Okay, I can see some folks are typing. Robert, okay. So in the opening slide, if I go there now, I'm actually going to download, let's see. The default slide actually has 7 white pages in it at the end. And in the next version, there'll actually be 19. So when you see that default presentation, you can just hit the next and you'll be now into like all white pages. And in the next update that goes out in like a week or two, there'll be 19 there'll be 19 blank pages. So Robert, ideally where we want to get to is two things. Either you have the ability to set what the default presentation is, like you upload it into Canvas and that becomes your default presentation, or on a per account basis, we can enable customers to have their own default presentation. So Rutgers could have like a Rutgers branded default presentation of whatever you want, or it could just be blank slides. So right now it's kind of just the same slide deck for everybody, but I think in the fall, one of the things we'd love to do is get to a place where um, the account could have its own slides, and then as an extension to Rutgers or to Canvas to be able to upload a slide deck there. And that slide deck becomes the default presentation for your conference. We're kind of making it really easy to upload slides and not have you wait until they convert as a sort of next step, because that we can do inside of BigBlueButton. But the end result would be the next thing after that would be able to just upload some slides to Canvas, and those become the defaults. Cool. Okay, the session, we started the recording a little bit earlier, so still a few moments left, only a few minutes, but any other questions? Yes, okay, cool. Conference moderator. If we had the countdown timer, you could put a countdown timer in and everyone would see it'd be 5 minutes left. But get that feature in some point as well. Are these functions useful for informational sessions and not just classroom? Amelia, there are all these functions for engagement, whether it's multi-user whiteboard, shared notes, polling, emojis, chat, breakout rooms. I think they're there to be used as you want. BigBlueButton doesn't know the context of the session, so whether it's a faculty meeting or a class or tutoring, you would be able to choose when to use them and how to use them. You can use a stylus on the whiteboard as well. So you can use like a Wacom tablet, and it just moves the mouse around. I'm using my mouse here. Okay. Done lots of demonstrations. Good feedback, by the way, because it helps guide me in terms of like the features and that for the fall. Something as simple as getting the group assignment from Canvas into the breakout rooms would be great. It would just make the integration tighter. Okay, any other questions? I will hang around here for the remainder of the time and just another 4 minutes. And if anyone asks, yes, I'm in our office. All the staff are working remotely, of course. So I get to come into an empty office every day, which, but it's okay because we use BigBlueButton to collaborate with everybody. So it kind of works out. It's a good point, Wanda. In the upper right-hand corner, you will see there are 3 dots. And if you click on that and choose help, it'll take you to a page that lists all of the tutorial videos. And I think Priscilla put in the documentation at Rutgers is actually pretty good. So there's quite a few knowledge-based articles there as well. Yes, Priscilla, it's actually another point. The interface in Canvas could use some love, because if you have a large class and there's groups or sections, it's not something you want to manually go through to choose things. I think you could always ping back the folks at Instructure and let them know that, this would be something that's really important to Rutgers. We'll work it from the other end as well. But all to say is like conferences became a lot more important to Instructure in the last 3 or 4 months. Like there has been some development underneath the hood on improving it, and they do Instructure clearly recognizes that so many people are using conferences right now. I think the traffic on conferences went up about 25 times in the last couple months. Not surprising for all those that were using it. Just huge increases. So it is one of the main development areas now at Instructure, and they want the experience to be good. So definitely add that to your CSM's list of things that the records would like to see. And I will do mine as well. Minutes left. So if the student leaves the breakout room or leaves the main room and comes back, they actually can get themselves back into the breakout room. And this is the key here. So if they come back to the main session, two things. If they come back to the main session and they were already in a breakout room, they can click to join it again. And if they completely leave and come back in, you do have the option of inviting them into a breakout room. Okay, everybody. I hope that you have a really good conference today. I was there last year. I probably would have met some of you in person. Um, the fact that it's just slightly different doesn't mean we can't still meet and collaborate. So please take full use of the conference.